So hello friends, this is 10 minutes code and today we are going to see about Perceptron. In a previous video we learned what the Perceptron is. Now we are going in detail. Okay, so the Perceptron was designed to take number of binary inputs. So this is the Perceptron, as I told you in last video, that this acts as like a neurons. So it can take input in the binary form. It was designed to take input in binary form such as 0, 1, 0, 1, 1, 0. Okay, and with these inputs it will program and produce one binary output like 0 or 1, yes or no, true or false. Okay, this is how a perceptron works. So let's take an example. Imagine a perceptron in your brain. Okay, the perceptron tries to decide if you should go to concert. So in brain, the brain tries to decide if I have to go to concert or not. So we are confused. So now we will make three columns, such as first is criteria, and second is input, and third is weight. Weight is the preference that you want. It can be different for different users. Okay, some users preference will be different and your preference will be different. For example, here the more preference is given to artists, second preference is given to weather, third preference is given to friends. Suppose there is another user whose first preference is friend and second preference is food and third preference is artist. So these weight values will depend on this. So weight values lies between 0 to 1. So the first preference will have the most highest weight value and the last preference will have the lowest weight value. As per your requirements, you can enter your weight values. Also, an input like x1, x2, x3, x4, x5 is a true or false. For example, artist is good or not. So if artist is good, x1 is equal to x1 will be 1. If artist is not good, x1 will be 0 and weight will be same. If weather is good, x1 is equal to 1. If weather is false, x1 is equal to 0, x2 is equal to 0. Okay, now let's move ahead. So first step is to set a threshold value. So threshold value will be different for different users. For example, a threshold value is 1.5. This depends on how much do you want to go to concert. So if your threshold value is set to 1.5, so now we will multiply this x1 into w1 and x2 into w2, x3 w3 and so on. Now for example, here artist is good or not. So if here artist is good and it is given 1, so 1 into preference 0.1 is equal to 0.7. okay, 0.7 into 1 is equal to 0.7. now whether is good or not, so whether is not good, so it is 0 and preference is 0.6, so 0.6 into 0 is equal to 0. And third, friends will come or not. So friends will come is given as 1 and preference 0.5 is equal to 0.5. Fourth one is food is served or not. So food is not served, so 0 into 0.3 is equal to 0. And last one, alcohol is served or not. Alcohol is served, so 1 a true value and 0.4 preference is equal to 0.4. Now we got the 5 data. You can set criteria, you can add more criteria here, you can change the threshold value, you can change the weight. But these x1, x2, x3 will remain constant, such as 1, 0 and 0, 1 as the true or false value. Okay, so now we will sum all the 5, 0.7 plus 0.0 plus 0.5 plus 0 plus 0.4 is, which will give 1.6. so it's bigger than threshold value, which is 1.5. so now the first step is to output return true if sum is greater than 1.5. If it is greater than 1.5, I will go to concert. So suppose some user has set the threshold value to 2.0, so it's less 1.6 is less than 2.0, so the output will come as no, I will not go to concert. Okay, so this is how perceptron works. So it is the note, if the weather weight is 0.6 for you, it might different for someone else, or weight will be different for someone else. A higher weight means that the weather is more important than this. The much the higher weight, the much the criteria is more important to the user. Threshold value can also be different from others, how much they want to go to concert or any other. any other place, such as school, college, you can take anything. So perceptron inputs are called nodes. Node value can be 1 0 1 0 1, such as we have seen. In X values are called node values, and node weights is W1, W2, W3. These are node weights. And activation function sum is should be bigger than threshold. Nodes, perception input. Perception inputs are called nodes. Where we take inputs from perceptron are called nodes. The nodes have both value and weight. They both have value and weight. So node value, input value. Each node has binary value of 1 or 0. It can be interpreted of yes or no, or true or false. In the example above, the node value was 1 0 1 0 1. So strength, this is activation function, as I told you. Now let's code this. Okay. So I have made two files, index.html and index.javascript. So here will I go to console and we will print the result here. For example, okay, you have to connect index.javascript with script tag here in HTML. So now first we will decide threshold. For example, I am keeping my threshold as 1.5. Okay, you can change if you want to go to constant, you can change is 2.5. If you don't want much, it depends on you how much you want to do that work. Okay, so here we will take an average as 1.5, and inputs const, let's take a node, or let's give this as input is equal to, we will make an array. And for example, there were 5 criteria. First, artist is good or not. So artist is not good, I am keeping this as 1. Suppose whether is suppose artist is good, 1, and whether is bad, 0. So if it is bad or false, then we can keep it as 0. If it is true, good. If it is a positive, we can keep this at 1. Okay, friends will come, food will not be served, and alcohol will be served. Alcohol will be served, so it is true, 1. Food will not be served, so it is false, 0. Friends will come, so it is true, 1. So just like that. If it's true, just add 1. If it's false, just add 0. Now the next is const weight. So this is a preference, so we can set different preference further. For example, here I am giving preference of RT as 0.5. I am giving preference for weather as 0.6. I am giving preference for friends such as 0.7. I am giving preference for food such as 0.8, and I am giving preference for alcohol such as 0.1. Okay. Now next is let sum is equal to 0. So for let I is equal to 0, I is less than equal to input dot length. Okay, and I plus plus. Now we have to append the sum inputs. So we have to multiply by x and w. So input of I into weight of I. So first x1 will multiply by x2, x2 is multiplied by w2, sorry, x1 multiplied by w1, x2 multiplied by w2, and so on, and it will be appending the sum, all the data. Now we will check if sum is bigger than threshold, then bigger than equal to, then we will display the result in here, index.html's result. So result dot in html, okay, is equal to, you should go to console, and here else result, we'll just copy this you should not go to concept. Now we will open this with live server, which is a Chrome VS Code extension. Now here will I go to concept? There is some error, I think so. Inputs is not defined. Okay, this should be input. Okay, now you should not go to concept, which means threshold value is less than 1.5. Now suppose I keep this value, food will be served as 1 and alcohol will be served as 0. Now let's check. Now also there is threshold value is less than, I think so, 1.5. Threshold value, what is threshold value? 1.5. Suppose I keep this as 2.5. okay, then also it is less than threshold value. Just check 1 into 0.5. let's print out threshold value here. Sum alert sum. Okay, now I think so there is no value in the sum. Why? Sum plus input into weight, input into I, 0 1 2 3 4 and weight, I think so it should be 0 is equal to. Okay, now let's check. It is 2. You should not go to concept. So it is less than 2.5, that's why it's calling you should not go to concept. Now if I keep this as 1.5, so it will give you should go to concept. So if the sum is bigger than threshold value, then it will print you should go to concept, and if it is less than, suppose I say change the preference here, you should go to concept. So if the artist is not good, so I will keep it as 0 and it is 1.5, again you should go to concept. So if I change the preference of food, for example 0.8, if I click this 0.7, so it is 1.0, which is less than 1.5, so it will print you should not go to concept. This is how a perceptron works. So this is the end of the video. Now in our next video we will learn more about machine learning in JavaScript and libraries. So stay with us and subscribe our 10 minutes code, and thank you.